Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Dr. Troy, with Dr. Trina today. We are excited to be coming to you for T2 Talk live again. Excited about this topic, fresh starts. Fresh starts. We were getting ready for the end of the year and beginning ready for the beginning of the year. And our conversation today has been all around fresh starts. First month of the year, first week of the year, talking about where we are going next. How do you feel about fresh starts, Pastor Trina?
I'm excited to have a fresh start because, it kind of allows you to take a look at what you went through last year, to evaluate how good you did, what you need to work on, and then dive in and with a plan on what you plan to do for the upcoming year. So I get excited about fresh starts because it's like all things new. All your mistakes are kind of like, okay, you use that as a template, you use that as a drawing board to make it better, bigger, and do something great.
Are you nervous about this year specifically, like this fresh start? Now, and this year is a little different than every other year we've ever had. Are you a little nervous about this fresh start this year?
I don't know if it's nervous. I'm excited because I this fresh start is amazing for me because it's almost 7 years of dealing with, injury and sickness. And so feeling like a brand new person, I'm excited to do all the things I've been doing pain free. So on that hand, I'm excited. But as you have stated, this is the first year, like even going into 2020, we didn't know about COVID. So you were going into a new year and COVID was non-existent. So going into 2021, we know about COVID and we know the potential of what happened, and we have to make the best out of what we kind of are dealt. But I don't know if it's nervousness or it's just like awareness of you have to do some maneuvering. So in your planning, it's a lot more work to plan and be prepared for the unexpected.
I think too. One of the things that I was thinking about last year is that when we were doing our year end like closeout stuff and looking at what we didn't finish. Now his was crazy. We didn't finish everything we started, but we had a successful year.
Absolutely.
In spite of all the things that went on,
And is this 2019 or 2020 you're talking about?
I'm talking about 2020. I'm saying that, when we look at the end of the year 2020, there's some things that we have as unfinished business. But it still was a lucrative year,
Absolutely.
which is crazy to think about that way. Like, and I think lucrative years have two kinds of connotations. One is we didn't lose anything, and then the other thing is we did gain some things.
Absolutely.
But we had unfinished business. Had we been able to finish all the things we really wanted to like get done with Bijou and real estate, and all, like it would have been a astronomical year, like blew every other year out of the water. But we didn't lose anything,
Right.
and we made some gains.
Absolutely.
So we kind of want to talk about that today. We want to talk about what it looks like to get a fresh start, and what are some of the things that we've been doing to be successful. So we kind of set our mindset. It was like, look at how we finished. Look at how we finished the year. Look at how we finished time wise. Look at how we finished goal wise. Look at how we finished budget wise. How did we finish the year off? What is the list that we had in the beginning of last year, and how much of that did we get done?
Absolutely.
Then we look at the goals for this year. What are the goals for this year? So they're going to be inclusive of some of the things we didn't finish, and then some things we really wanted to do moving forward. Then we're going to look at the budget. Now this is key because when you hear the word budget, you're always thinking money, but you also need to be thinking time. Am I right? Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely.
Because I love dreaming and I love having vision, but I got to do the administrative work. So Pastor Trina's the administrator, and I must become more administrative. And I think in some cases I'm administrative, but I'm also a dreamer. So how do I budget my time to make sure that we can finish what we started and get started on some of the new goals for this year? And then lastly, then we dream. We dream at a whole nother level. So the dream may take us 5 or 6 years out. But the goals we're trying to finish within the next 12 to 18 months. That's kind of how we roll our year out. 12 to 18 months. What are the things that we have to do? What are the things we must get done? What's the budget for that? How are we going to get that done within the next 12 to 18 months? So the fresh start is all about that. This first month is all about that. Now, some of you who are really conscientious, you started this conversation in October or November or December of last year. But we looked at our fiscal year end that 31st and said, okay, let's look at where we're at, and let's look at what we need to do. So we got some plans,
Yeah,
but
we do that talk in October, like we go together and start the framework for it. But I think that, until you get that final year, you still
those
have that last
numbers
quarter.
and dates and all, that last
for us,
quarter.
for our businesses, you still need that last quarter. So we're planning all year round. We don't just, wait till the first month of the year to start planning. We're planning all the way through. So as we prepare for 2022, we'll be taking pit stops in June. We'll take pit stops at, mile markers throughout the year. So, I mean,
But it's crazy to use the word plan versus the word goal. So, I think sometimes we don't even want to set goals because we jack up our plans, right? So I think the mindset is that you can set the goal and then plan around that goal. If you don't hit it, don't condemn yourself. Look at what strides you made and where you needed to be and how you got there, and then what changes you need to make, the augmentations you need to make to get to that place. So let's just talk about that whole year in fiscal year. We're looking at how much we made, how much time we spent doing certain things, maybe how many people we helped. Because sometimes it's not the number cash-wise, it's the success we had with transformation with peoples for our businesses.
absolutely.
What other mile markers or things do you use to say this was a good year or bad year when it comes to what we do?
So you said money. You said helping. You said
Helping people.
Helping people. You said, did we finish?
Personal transformation, I guess, because
Transformation.
like I lost about 20, 30 pounds this year, which was on my list for last year. How much we made, I think we kind of went past what we thought we were going to do. What we maintained, even the
Audiences that we attract.
absolutely putting money in the drawer. Something simple as how much money we could put in the drawer, how much money we could put in savings, or how we could up our life insurance. Those are some of the things that we did to kind of better ourselves. And we looked at that fiscal year and said, we ain't do too bad on what we was looking at. Getting our credit score to a certain place, getting our line of credit to a certain place, paying stuff down. I think we did pretty good with that. But the goal setting. So when we just got finished going back and forth before we got on with y'all about the goals and dreams piece. Talk about what you were saying as far as like, even when we communicate about our dreams and goals, like sometimes what happens with us when we talk.
I think because, like you said, you're a dreamer, and not that I don't dream, but I'm very heavy on the administrative side. And not that you're not administrative, but because you're a dreamer and you're very spontaneous. God gives you downloads and he speaks to you, you're ready to go. And I'm like, okay, let's find out God's full plan. He just gave us the surface piece. We need to get the details on how we move in it. And I have no doubt when God says do it, it's going to happen. It's the paying attention to the details so that the devil doesn't come in and steal our crop or, steal our harvest and abundance because we took the wrong steps. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, but we got to let him order us. And I think sometimes he gives us download and we go to our own devices and our own strengths of doing things. So I think that for us, because again, like I said, you're very much the dreamer and I'm the administrative person, we are meant to work together and complement each other. But there's work that goes in that because nobody wants their side of the coin.
Now, this is about to take a turn. This conversation right in front of y'all. This is T2 talk.
Right.
It's going to take a turn. So she's administrative, but in my estimation, she doesn't write stuff down. So we go back and forth about the goals, the end of year. If we write all that stuff down, whatever we finish with, column that out, write that out. Whatever the goals are, writing those down, put them on paper. Whatever the budget's going to be for those goals, writing it down, put it on paper. It helps me with the dream. Because if I see the numbers and details in front of me, I know what I can't do and what I can do. Pastor Trina is very good at having stuff in her head. So she formalizes the goals and dreams in her head. But for me, I need to see them written down. And we battle about that
Well,
from
too,
time to
because
time.
I think it's more on preference. I'm going to always give you the numbers at the end of the day. I don't always have everything in my head, but he may have a preference to want the numbers every single time before we even finalize anything. So, me being administrative, it's like, let me give me that information. It's like a person that can take shorthand, versus the person they need to write down every single syllable of the word. And I think sometimes we go back and forth. It's just, what do you need? If you need every syllable, then write down every syllable. And I'm going to do my shorthand. And at the end of the day, I'm going to submit to you the final plans so that we both are on the same page and we have some documentation on what was said in the meeting. And I think sometimes because he has a structure of how he does things, sometimes he wants it in his structure, and then sometimes I want it in my structure. So we have to compromise so that it works for the both of us.
Because I think for me, like if I'm able to see my stuff right in front of me, then I start to understand like, okay, I'm not reaching that goal. It's February, or I'm not reaching that goal. It's March, or I thought I was going to have enough time to do this, and I'm looking at how our time is allotted because I got actual data in front of me. I can say we got to shift something where and know what it is we got to shift.
Absolutely.
As opposed to saying, well, something went wrong, we missed it, I don't know how we got there, we missed the date, we missed the time, we missed the deadline. Like that, I think those things happen because details I think do need to be written down, in some cases. And I think we have to figure out who's better at working with what they say they don't need. Can I say it that way? So it's like, if I really need details in order for us to reach our goals, make our budget and all of that, then somebody in a relationship has to say, well, if that's what we need to make sure we stay on track, then I'm going to give you what you need so that we can reach what we need to get to. And I think we go back and forth, even in marriage and relationship, and even in businesses, like that's my strength. So how do we marry my strength with your strength? Because your strength may be, I give you the information and you'll act it and finish it and go all the way through with it. And I think when it comes to setting goals, I believe, and y'all can comment on that, it got to be written down. Write the vision, make it plain on tablets. Those that read it may run with it, though it tarry, wait on it, it will surely come to pass. And I think that I can't direct the house, direct the dreams, direct the children, direct the dog if I don't have stuff kind of scheduled out on paper. So y'all, I want y'all to comment about that. Like, if you're the type of person that don't need to do that, how do you stay on track? How do you make that happen? Because we were talking about me dreaming so far out that sometimes she'll be like, I don't see how we're going to get that money. I don't see where we're going to get that from. I don't know how we're going to do that. And I think that's valid. If I bring you a business idea, if it's not written down, what we talked about in the beginning of the year, I think it becomes one of those things where it's like, well, this is what I want to do. And I think writing down goals and dreams, when you say, that was not, that business you're talking about now, was not in that stuff we wrote down in January. You are now adding something to the time budget, to the finance budget, and to our goals. If that business is not helping us reach these goals, it cannot get on the list this year. You can visit it next year, but it is not written. We wrote this down in January. This is what we were going to do. So if it's written down, this is what we're going to stick to. If we put away $500 a month toward buying a new house, or $500 a month toward buying a new car, or $500 a month toward buying new furniture, you can't take 200 of that and go get singing lessons because now you want to do an album.
Absolutely.
Am I right saying that?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing also when I look at us, because you have so many dreams and so many ideas and things that God gives you, like I would be a walking secretary. Like it's almost like, I think in his mind, I don't write anything down, but I have tons of stuff, documentation. Like documentation is so important and key. You can't be administrative if you don't have documentation. But because he is so inundated with ideas and stuff like that, and I know you dream. It's like every second I can at 2:00 in the morning be writing stuff down. I got it. My mind has it. So when it's time for us to really build it out and plan it out, that's when all the stuff I'm coming back to you say, are you still want to do this? You still, and I'm writing stuff down so that we have it in documentation. But I think sometimes because he's so passionate about the idea, he's looking at me like, you're not gonna write this down. I'm like, well, it's 2 in the morning, and
so let me just question. What you call spontaneity, like you're saying, that's spontaneous. it could be spontaneous in the idea, but it might not be spontaneous if in the goal setting in the beginning of the year, we said we need to find something that would yield us $1,000 a month. So something came across my path, something dropped in my spirit, somebody put a card in my hand. That may seem spontaneous. My question is at that moment, is that the thing that fits in that slot where we said we need to find something that's going to make us $1,000 a month? So it looks spontaneous, but we didn't have a defined thing there that was going to increase our income, and somebody handed me something that may work there. So I think that's when we come back to the table and have that meeting conversation. So it looks spontaneous because it's a new idea, but it's not spontaneous because one of our goals was to make $1,000 that month. So I think those are the times when, and that doesn't happen all the time because I may try an idea and it doesn't work. The question is, do we have something budgeted there to try something?
So I'm,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm laughing because I don't think it's spontaneous to get something come across your desk to say, yo, does this fit what we said we could do? Da 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 da. Because that's just life. I think it's spontaneous when your mind is already going. You already doing it. Like, so, I say to you all the time, like, I have to say certain things, or else if I don't have certain key phrases or certain like things out there, you already done. And you and sometimes we even had to work through the whole idea of like, how do I convey to him this is a great idea without him saying, all I heard was great, go. Like,
And I think, but
I can't go negative.
But I think
first.
what happens is when something's written, it becomes the law. So I think what winds up happening is that if we wrote down we're only going to take on one new business this year, and I come to you with 3, then you have the power to say which one are you choosing, because we only taking on one new business venture this year. You came to me with 4. Which one out of these 4 do you like the best?
And I have a problem with you doing
But there's what I'm saying, like
3 or 4. The problem is
I'm saying
spontaneity of it all. You're spontaneous with it, so you're ready to go. Whether even if it's one idea, you're ready to go without. And I'm not saying you haven't researched it all. I'm not saying you haven't done your homework on it.
What I'm saying is when budget is written down, here's what happens. Okay, here's your one idea, because we said one idea this year. Now here's the budget. There's $150 here. Your idea is $250, $340, $570. So we wrote it down here that we had $150 for that deal or $250 for that deal, and you're coming to me with something that's beyond the budget that's written down. So that doesn't fit in the scales of our goals, our budget, time, and finance, and our future dreams. And I think that's what I'm telling you. This is the conversation that you got to have. We're having it right in front of you. You got to have that conversation, because once you realize, oh yeah, I did say the number was 150, and they're saying it's going to take 500 for startup and then 500 a month, and we only have 150 a month. So we're going to have to go look at some other idea because that don't fit what we set up.
But everything we plan in January or whatever we do, it's all documented. You may not remember. It's all
I
on
cannot
paper.
write. Listen to me. There have been years where if I said pull out the paper that we wrote everything down on in 2015, we probably couldn't put our hands on it.
No, I'm not gonna say and act like we got the best organizational piece of it.
That's a whole nother live. That's a whole nother live. That's a whole nother live.
You dealing with Dr. Troy and all his stuff. Like I said, we would need 5 secretaries to deal with everything he got on inside him. Sometimes I'd be just like, okay, yes, absolutely. Because I don't want to crush the dream. Like, he has so much on the inside of him. Like, and that sometimes even seems like, for me, I'd be like, Lord, what? I must don't have nothing on the inside of me. Lord's like, no, you got plenty on the inside of you. But when you're sitting next to somebody that is constantly, like, we're doing this live, I guarantee you his mind is thinking about something else that he could be doing. And God is dropping on him because and that's how he's wired. And that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It's just, how do we marry those two things? I know what I'm married to. He knows what he's married to. We know what we bring to the table. And sometimes we have to talk about the benefits. Because when I listen to him and he says, if it was on paper, and I'm saying, like, it is on paper. Like, we do have that. But that shows me the areas where I got to remind him, okay, so maybe I need to make sure that he has it in a folder and somewhere where he could put his hands on it.
Or maybe when we look at each other's paper based on what you said earlier, yours is shorthand and mine is detailed.
Absolutely.
So what happens is what shorthand on your paperwork may not have dates, months, and times.
No. But the documentation has all that.
No, listen,
the final
no.
copy. I'm talking about shorthand is the original conversation.
Final copy means shorthand means I wrote something at this moment, and this is something that you got to make sure you do not only for Fresh Start but throughout the year. If you're going to have a meeting and you're going to write shorthand and I'm going to write detail, then we got to have another meeting to solidify everything we did in shorthand and detail and bring it into one document that works for the rest of the year. Very important, because what will happen is, because she has her mind works on this side of the brain or makes this happen this way, and my mind works on this side of the brain and it happens this way, we're going to have to collaboratively come down and start setting, watch this, those to be delivered dates. There are dates when the things that are on that list must be delivered. If we talk about getting insurance, or you talk about getting insurance, what is the to be delivered date? Are you going to have it by March? Are you going to have it by February? Are you going to have it by April? Because what will happen is it'll get away from you if you're spontaneous like me. It'll get away from you. So you got to make sure you got those dates. What date do I need to have this by? What date does this need to show up? And in some cases, y'all, when you have an impasse, you might, especially if you're a business owners, entrepreneurs, and you're busy like me, Pastor Trina, you might need a third-party administrator that comes in and says, Pastor Troy, you said you wanted this by this date. I haven't seen anything. I'm going to call Pastor Trina to see if she has anything. If she don't have anything, the two of y'all need to sit down and lock down when you're going to have that deliverable.
That's absolutely ideal.
Very, very important. Because when you talk about time as a budget, and you talk about money as a budget, both of those things can get away from you if you don't have some kind of administrator. If you're not administrative enough, or you don't have a third-party administrator, making sure
you have too much. You can be administrative all you want.
You can have too much
on your plate. It's not going to work. I've told you before.
Well, we talk about things falling below the line.
Right.
So if it's like this doesn't take part. If we're pastors, so if somebody gets sick and go to the hospital, and we had something scheduled for that day, that thing's probably going to get pushed to the side so we can meet that need. Absolutely. But somebody at the table, if not us, a third party needs to come back and say, "Yo, Pastor Troy," and we have some of those people. Yo, Pastor Troy, you were supposed to do this, you were supposed to do that. Bring that back to the table. Mm-hmm. But I think if you don't look at end of the year, if you don't set new goals, if you don't figure out your budget for time and money, your dreams probably you'll never get to them. You'll never get to them. And you may even argue about your dreams all day long because one person can't see it and the other person's seeing it but hasn't put any structure in place to make it happen. Hopefully y'all got something out of this conversation today. We're going to come back and talk about this again. I think this is a good point, especially in the beginning of the year, because some of you in quarantine are arguing over your bills right now. Mm-hmm. Fighting over the PICO bill, fighting over the cable bill, fighting over the car notes, fighting because you got a dream to start a business and you've been presenting it and you feel like it's not being heard. But it's not that it's not being heard. It's that the other person is saying, I can't see it. We have nothing tangible in front of us to make this happen. It's important, y'all, that you start having some discussions around your table with your bills out, and really go back and forth, not argument, but deliberate about what you really want to see. Am I right in saying that?
Absolutely.
Do you think that the fact that we've been quarantined has caused people to be in a tough spot because they're finally having to face the fact that they haven't had these conversations for years?
Absolutely. You haven't had the conversations. It shows you your flaws. We can blame it on a whole lot of other things. We're doing this, we're busy doing this, but when the truth of the matter is quarantine has taken all the other distractions out, so you have to be realistic and put it on the table that, no, I'm just not good at this, or no, I just don't do this well, or no, I need some help in this area. So I think that having those conversations are important.
That's something that's on our schedule.
That's on our schedule to make sure it happens. And so, like I said, I'm administrative. I'll make sure every date, everything happens. Put it in my phone, and I got it. But you have to take an opportunity to look at that. Even these conversations, when we sit here, like I said before, recognizing when you hear something, that means that there's a breakdown in communication because you're sitting there saying, but no, I do cook like this, or I do this like this. And he's like, no, or she's like, no, I don't get that. So how do you put everything back on the table so that people recognize what happens. I'll use this as an example. Pastor Troy loves to do his own shopping for Christmas and birthdays and stuff like that. And so with my injuries over the last 7 years, I haven't been able to go to the stores for him like I would like to. And so ordering online, I just don't like how it'll come and it doesn't look the way you want it to. They say it's a extra large. When you get it, it's a medium and stuff like that. So, I really employ some of family members, my kids, go shopping for him and do things like that. But when we first were getting married, he would just like go get his own stuff and he was excited about it. But then he would be like, I ain't get no surprise gifts. You get celebrated all 30 days of your birthday. And so I'm like, you got more stuff than I ever got. So now I'm listening to his conversation and I'm saying, how can I make this better for him? So I had to have the conversation with him, so do you want me to go get this stuff? You can go shopping. After I get what I need, then you can have your party. But let me have an opportunity because I don't want you to be 60, 70 years and be like, my wife ain't never buy me nothing. But we agreed that you was going to go buy your own stuff because that's what you really wanted to do. And that might have came out of his own mouth. But when you recognize that something that person is doing or something you're doing, you may agree upon it. But later on, you recognize that there's people don't even realize what they want or what they need until you hear them talk. And when you care about somebody, you want to make sure that we bring everything to the table and say, even though you said that, I think you still deep down in your heart want to get a surprise gift or you want to have, something you say you don't, but I think you really do.
Absolutely. And I think it goes to the point of saying too that, one of my angles was like, pay attention to what I'm asking for. Mm-hmm. Don't just bring me anything.
Absolutely.
Bring me what you hear me talk about, and again, that goes back to details, and I think that the mindset is even with looking at the budget and time, I think that once you get down to the details and you sit down at the table and you say, listen, I know what you want. I know you don't necessarily, want to do it like that, but that's what I need to be successful. Absolutely. And I think when you have that conversation, once the success starts riding, then the person's like, man, if I just did this a long time ago,
absolutely,
we could have just been making a whole bunch of money, And I've had to give up my debit card and credit card and take it out my wallet because I like to spend, But if that's what it takes for us to stay on budget, stay on task, that's what I got to do. If Pastrina has to do the finances because she's better at it, then that's just what we got to do, But there were seasons of our life where physically you was like, I can't do nothing but take care of my body. Right. So then I had to do it, So I try to have high level communication because I wasn't as good at it as she was. I've got better, but at the time I was like, I'm about to pay this, I'm about to pay that. Like she'd be like, why do you keep going to the window? like you can pay that over the phone. I was like, I want to make sure it's getting done and I want a receipt. That's the old school stuff. But it was what I needed to do to make sure that I was accomplishing the goals that were necessary for the house. So listen, look at your fiscal year end, set your goals, budget, time and money, and then chronicle your dreams. Chronicle your dreams. Don't let your dreams cause you to crash today. Don't let the things you're dreaming about, I know you want to go on a vacation every quarter, but if the vacation every quarter has superseded you having life insurance, you've made the wrong choice. If you go on a vacation every quarter has superseded you having a savings account, you have made the wrong choice. If you go on a vacation and you come back and your car needs brakes and a tune-up and an inspection and you can't afford it, you have made the wrong choices. And you have not even had the dialogue that is necessary to get your goals straight for the next 12 to 18 months. So as difficult as it may be, and even you seeing us having this conversation today, it's not difficult, but you see we have a difference of opinion in some areas.
Absolutely.
I don't care how difficult it is. You better have it. You better have that conversation or both of y'all going to be on the bus, frustrated with a bag lunch. What good is it to come home with a tan and be freezing outside in the cold because you couldn't get your car inspected, because you couldn't take care of your brakes, because your battery died, and you didn't have a discretionary $300 to get a battery put in,
My God.
or discretionary $400 to get your brakes done, or you riding around ducking the law because your stickers are expired on your car, or you can't pick up your phone because all the bill collectors are blowing you up.
Wow.
Listen, use your fresh start wisely. Yo, this your boy, Dr. Troy, Dr. Trina. We love y'all. We'll be back. Tell us if you want to talk about this some more, because we will, because I'm sure y'all going to have questions. We love y'all much. God bless you. Talk to you soon.